My name is Riwella Bruk. I moved to Boca Raton in 1979 with my husband and 4 children.
And I'm Sandy Altner. Thank you so much for being with us, Mrs. Bruk. My job is as a volunteer interviewer here with the Boca Raton Historical Society and Museum, and we're doing this special project to record the oral history of the Jews of Boca Raton with the cooperation and the help of Lynn University, and we are in their studios today. It is December 16th, 2016, and I am so pleased to have an opportunity to talk with you. So when you came from South Africa.
No,
is that correct?
Yeah, from South Africa. We first went to North Miami Beach. And my husband was a professor at the Jackson Memorial for almost 3 years. We wanted to go out in private practice, but one of the requirements was that we needed a Jewish environment for the kids, at least, or a Jewish day school. North Miami Beach had met our needs, and but there was no private practice available for him. And first time he got offered a practice at Boca, he actually refused it because we came up. There was no Jewish community here whatsoever. And then the second time, it had grown a little and we accepted it. But we were very much the pioneers with everything. There was a day school on 4th Avenue, but it was very small. And only my daughter, who's the youngest, could go to it. The older ones, there was no class that could accommodate them, and they had to go to public school. And the biggest thing, and especially I think for my husband, who came from a very Orthodox community, his father was a rabbi, and he really needed this. And we're not extremely Orthodox. I mean, we're not Shomer Shabbat. We do ride on Shabbat, but we try and observe. Besides that, I think we observe everything else, the kashrut, and we like to be involved with the synagogue and the studying and the just a whole Jewish lifestyle. And that made Boca very, very difficult in the beginning. So this Federation was almost not really there. I remember the first, we started working with Federation was right in the very, very beginning. And one of the first meetings was at my neighbor's house, Nina Mofson, and then we had it at my house and at her house, and we sort of got it more established than what it was.
So you were involved in Federation before you were involved in setting up a synagogue?
It's before the synagogue, yeah.
What did you find in the way of Federation and how it was getting started at that time? What were you, what did you see in what was available for their efforts at that time?
There wasn't a lot available at that time. I mean, you didn't have a campus, you didn't have anything. But, they were starting, and it was a very assimilated community, I would say. As you heard, he spoke about where they used to have their annual dinner and dance, and for years the problem was that they refused to have it kosher, but they would promise us at least that it would be kosher style. But even that wasn't the case, There was really, it was difficult to keep kosher here. I think we went to get our meats. We often used to go back to North Miami Beach. We were first to go and fill up our freezer with kosher meat and things like that.
How did you manage with religious observance then with the children? How old were your children at the time in 1979?
They were already older, and this was very difficult for us. We moved to a community. We didn't know where the next synagogue, Orthodox synagogue, would go. So we had to drive anyhow, and it was a little. That part was difficult.
When you first came then in 1979, it must have been quite a change then from being in North Miami Beach, where you had access to things that were much more
access.
So did you feel you were kind of cast adrift when you came to Boca?
No, I think, we very much are just a together family, and whatever you have to do, you do, and you just find things to do, or you form synagogues, and that's what it is.
What can you tell me of what you remember of that first conversation that you and your husband had about, well, maybe we ought to start thinking about starting a synagogue?
Well, we were going to B'nai Torah when it was still in Fourth Avenue and on Glades Road, and it was small, and but it was very welcoming, and we met a lot of people there, and a lot of them had Orthodox backgrounds. But when they started talking about getting a woman rabbi, that didn't sit well with my husband.
And this is a conservative synagogue.
This is a conservative. And, you do have women rabbis in Orthodox temples now, but then their community is Orthodox. They don't have a mixed community if they're a rabbi of an Orthodox temple. So I had actually not grown up in a home that was as Orthodox as his was. As a matter of fact, I grew up in a home where we didn't keep kosher. But so when he asked me to marry him, one of the conditions was that I keep a kosher home. And, that really was it. I still have a piece of paper and I would love to find it for you, which was printed in Boca Raton, right in the very, very beginning when Boca first sort of started getting populated. And it was no blacks, no Jews, no dogs.
You have that?
Yeah. If I could just find this, that is the most interesting thing that somewhere I must have it.
And where did you find that paper?
Somebody gave it to me, and I said I wanted a copy of it, or showed it to me. But it was actually, I think, printed somewhere.
Did you find that there was an anti-Semitic flavor to the community when you first came here?
No.
Okay.
There wasn't.
So this paper was an unusual thing that it
went back to, I think, to 1923.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I think if I'm correct, that's what it was dated, 1923.
So when you came in 1979 with your husband, what did you find as the woman who was in charge of keeping a kosher home, as a woman who was in charge of supervising the education of her 4 children? What did you find here?
Very little for my children, and socially very little for my children. I think if we had come and there was Boca Raton Synagogue, we certainly would have lived around the Montoya Circle. But that wasn't there. So, and as I said, only my daughter could go to a day school. She was the youngest, but in South Africa, all children went to day schools and they graduated from day school. And I think we had some of the best school living results in the whole country from the day schools, both in Cape Town and in Johannesburg. So we really missed that.
So
the older ones really, I couldn't, they were thrown into the society where they didn't where schools were mixed. They might have some Jewish friends, non-Jewish friends. It was very, very different to what we were used to.
How long did it take for you to become comfortable in Boca Raton?
I think we took to the place straight away. When my husband first started working at the hospital, we were still living in North Miami Beach. And we had adjusted very well in North Miami Beach. We had a wonderful, even the conservative synagogue we went to was great, they were very welcoming. And, there were things that were different to what we were used to, not being Orthodox, but it was leaned more to Orthodoxy. Our rabbi had grown up in Orthodox, he was an Orthodox rabbi, and then he became the conservative rabbi. And we really made a lot of friends, and 2 of my kids went to day school, because the day school only went up to, I think, 5th grade at that time, and then they could have gone to Miami Beach where there was a high school. And as a matter of fact, when he took the job at Boca Hospital, people offered to have my son stay with them, and he could go to the high school on Miami Beach from North Miami Beach. But we didn't want to break up the family, So it
was quite a change, though.
A big change, even physically. I remember driving off along the highway and then turning off, and all I saw was churches with spirals. It was amazing, and then when he started the synagogue, it was hard work. For 3 years, I think, we ate, we lived, we breathed the synagogue, and my two older children were already, out of our house, and my third son, the third oldest, we used to call him the minion man, because they couldn't get a minion together, say, for Friday night service, and they'd call us and say, tell Kevin to come along, we need him for a minion. So that's really how it was. And then, of course, he started this Orthodox synagogue.
In starting a synagogue, obviously, there's a tremendous amount of work. What do you remember then about the help that you were given by other people in the community? Did other people come forward and pitch in as well?
People who wanted the same thing, yes. Mm-hmm. The people who wanted the same thing gave it to us. We got a lot of naysayers who said we'll never make it, but we did. And but we were like one close family at one stage. And but then we just grew too big to have it in somebody's home. Or we had it down at the day school, Northeast 4th Avenue, I think the day school used to be. And before Federation opened up over here.
What was the turning point? What makes you think about that moment? Or what do you think of when you think of the moment when you knew it was going to succeed?
I think I always thought it would succeed. I think my husband's just that kind of person and personality that if he really wanted this, and he was going to succeed.
And today, how would you describe the Boca Raton Synagogue? Tell me about it.
It's wonderful. And I think you asked him what attracts people here, or why has the community grown like that? Because the Orthodox people now, Orthodoxy's become very much more popular than what it was in the before, and they want it all the way. They want where their kids grow up with other Orthodox children, where there's everything for the children revolving around the synagogue, schools, yeshivas, high schools, and they've got it all. They've got it all over here. Now, of course, with the kashrut, it's wonderful. I mean, they're kosher butcheries. You can get anything you want. There's really no problem. From kosher takeaways, meals, you get it all.
So that in itself, when we think about the business impact in Boca Raton as well.
It's tremendous, tremendous.
When you first got here, did you have to shop for bread elsewhere and to do the kinds of, to stock your kitchen? How did you manage when you first arrived in 1979?
Well, as I said, for the meat, we often went back to North Miami Beach. And I think when I went shopping for groceries, I spent an awful lot of time just reading labels, which I did in North Miami Beach too, because, that's how here, if you don't read the labels, it can really turn you off. So.
And when did that change? When did things start to get really that much more convenient?
I think everything changed with the rise of a Jewish population in Boca. And it's, of course, not only been the Orthodox. If you look at B'nai Torah, the conservative, I mean, they had like a little place in which was a school, and we had, no, it wasn't the school, it was on 4th Avenue on Glades Road. And that was also a very small community, very welcoming community, and because that's where we went until he started this, but it was small. And so we went to, I think we used to go back often for the meet to North Miami Beach. It was hard. The shopping was actually hard.
And today?
Today, it's a breeze. I mean, even Costco has a wonderful kosher section. So, everything is there, and the prepared food, both from the butcheries, the kosher butcheries. Winn-Dixie, they have a kosher section. They have a kosher bakery. It's just wonderful. I mean, it's really very easy.
Is it easy to be a Jew of any kind in Boca Raton?
Yes, yes, it is.
And why is that?
Because there's so many people, so there's so many institutions and needs, and everybody's needs can be met. There's always a group that will meet your needs.
How important has Federation been to developing the cohesiveness, if you will, of the Jewish community in Boca?
I think it is very much so now. In the beginning, it wasn't. But then they were also going through growing stages, and everything was small and just a few people that were there. I mean, the numbers of just grew in Boca.
We're talking about a Jewish community that has not really been established here all that long. I know that Temple Bethel is only coming up to its 50th anniversary next year. So when we're looking at these kinds of things where it just seems so young, yet it's so fully established now in just 50 years or less.
I think I don't know, I think Federation grew tremendously. And at the same time, Boca Raton Synagogue. And the Orthodox people they wanted schools, they want where to shop, they want play groups, they want everything, but they want it all for their children. They do not, they almost, well, sort of racist. They like their children to play and to mix with children of the same kind. They don't like them to be influenced by people who are not quite the same religiously.
And religiously within the Jewish community included?
No, I'm talking within the Jewish community.
Right.
Even now, with the people who go to Hillel, most of them, no, not most of them, I would say there's a huge amount that are not Orthodox. And they will have birthday parties on Saturdays, and then the Orthodox children can't go. You must be sure that the food, now wherever you go, the food is usually catered. Even the Federation caters kosher now. Never did. We had massive fights about it. I had friends from our community, and they did not join Federation because they couldn't, they didn't observe the dietary laws. So
many things have changed over the years.
That all changed over the years.
I'd like to ask you a little bit about the Orthodox community, particularly the community that's attached to the Boca Raton Synagogue. The largest, most rapidly growing community in the Jewish population in Boca Raton is certainly the Orthodox community. So you've got younger people, you have families who are moving here. Where are these families coming from?
A lot of them are coming from the Northeast. I would say mainly from the Northeast.
Are they coming from other countries as well?
Yes, some are.
But still most of it would be from the Northeast,
Yeah.
meaning primarily New
Yeah,
York
I
still?
think mainly from the Northeast.
And why are they coming? Why are young families up and moving?
Because we're offering them what they want for their families. Boca Raton Synagogue provides the environment that they want. And then, of course, there's the butcheries, there's the grocery shopping, there's the catering, there's Federation now, so all this is provided. Our Rabbi Brander was our third rabbi, and he had a big role with Federation. I think through him, at last Federation became kosher and observed the dietary laws, and it's made a big difference. And I mean, that's a wonderful organization. They do so much for the community.
But when we look at these families who are coming here, what job opportunities are they likely to find in Boca Raton? And when these families come, what kinds of jobs do they have?
Oh, they're just like anywhere else. They're doctors, they're lawyers, they do the accountants,
A lot of professions.
A lot of professionals. A lot of professionals.
When you look at what the Boca Raton Synagogue is today and what it provides, and you had mentioned earlier, Riwella, that there was a a sense that had there been a Boca Raton synagogue when you first got here, it would have had a major impact on your life.
Definitely.
But when you look at that today, of the many things that have been accomplished, what do you think is the most important in having created a synagogue that you and your husband did?
I think it's just been like, I don't know if it's accomplishment or rewarding or what you want to say, but I come to synagogue and all you see is strollers outside. As you walk through a minefield of strollers, I always say, yeah, these lovely young people, a lot of them have many children in their family, and it's just so beautiful to see. When we came to Boca, one of the things that we were, missed was this more Jewish people, a stronger community, whether it was whatever it was, but just, more. And we just, missed that sort of interaction for our children with other Jewish children, because it really was not a very Jewish place. That all just suddenly grew, and it's not only, as I said, the Orthodox, it's the conservative, it's the Reform. There are two Reform shuls now, and this is just, then further west there are more branches, and Chabad's become big.
So do you think that Boca Raton identifies as a Jewish community?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. A very big, unique community, and this is attracting the people from out of town.
What is it that other Jewish communities can learn, Orthodox communities or the larger just observers of Judaism in different communities could learn from the example of what has happened here in Boca Raton?
If you build it, they'll come. To be really corny.
And has it worked out to be, what of all of these things that you've been participating in with your husband in the growth of the Jewish community and specifically the growth of the Boca Raton Synagogue, of what are you most proud?
I think of the membership. I don't know what I'm most proud of, but I know what gives me most pleasure is just seeing all these children. There's so many services for the children, from every age group. And two of his nephews and their families came to live here, and it's wonderful. Suddenly we have family here. We still have, and I don't know. Not everybody observes some of the values, even though they say they're orthodox. But I find, this is a community where you honor your elders, your mother or your father. They're very different, They have their problems too. I think they have their problems with drugs, and like every community among some of the teenagers. But by and large, there's something very solid there. And I think it's the family closeness. Very close-knit families in all of them. So.
Well, thank you so very much. I really appreciate your reflections and your stories and
I just want to give credit where it is, but my husband worked so hard. He donated so much money, more than he should have, most probably, for what, but it was, for 3 years we literally ate and breathed the Boca Raton Synagogue. And it was something he wanted so much. And I went with it, and but he was the sort of inspiring figure. Unfortunately, the other two men who started it with him are not here anymore. But he was really the pusher, the go-aheader, and that's just how he is. So. I think they were very lucky that he was there, because if he wasn't there, I don't know if it would have happened as quickly as it did. He was a driving force.
And I think that the answer to what you're most proud of is your husband.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.